Angus, you're a massive disappointment, mate. And Rick, you know better. Can I give you an example how that press conference should have run? My name is X. I'm the Chief of the Defence Force. I'm responsible for the Defence Force. We've got this report. Serious allegations have been made. I am now going to commence the charging of individuals that are implicated in this result, and regardless of rank, they will be held to account. You will be kept informed. If somebody did something wrong, they will be charged. If somebody failed in their duty and something was wrong under their command, under the Defence Force discipline, they will be charged. And I don't care how high it goes, ladies and gentlemen. I'll keep you informed. There you go. Next question. That's what should have been said. Not this bureaucratic, political doublespeak and kabuki theatre and removal of medals and definitions of warrior ethos.
Angus Campbell decided to come out with some of these findings from this report. Now, Riccardo, we got your live reaction to that. What are you thinking?
Failure of leadership. Nothing more, nothing less. A failure of leadership, and this is what people don't get about the military. And I'll mention a few things, and we'll talk in more detail later. But understand this: this is not, as Ross Cameron famously said, the HR department of the ANZ Bank. A military commander has a unique role. It has no parallel anywhere. And to draw ridiculous conclusions from civilian life into the military does nobody any service. Now, that's been done at a couple of levels. Good old Angus, old mate Angus, has very quickly telegraphed exactly who's going to be held to account and who might slip away quietly, because he indicated that the commanders bore a moral responsibility. The implication being maybe not a legal responsibility. So he threw that up first. You got to forgive me because I've got so many things coursing through my veins at the moment. Most of it's not very nice. It is a failure of leadership, a lack of moral courage of every commissioned officer and commander. Because when we talk about culture in the military, the commanding officer, the platoon commander, the squadron commander, the company commander, the regimental commander, sets the culture. This isn't a kumbaya, hold your hands moment. That unit reflects the commander's attitude and intent. And any commander that allows the troops to get away with anything has to bear responsibility. Now, there's leeway when a commander lets things slide. I get that. But the people of Australia have to understand a military commander is not a chief executive of an organisation. And it's certainly not a communist organisation where you have a Politburo member attached there, the political officer, to keep you on track. That's an awesome responsibility. That's why they get these wonderful awards just for doing their job. So let's get the first things first. Those who have done illegal acts and committed murder, hold them to account. No problem with that at all.
Yeah, one of which being blooding.
Absolutely.
As an example.
Unacceptable. I got that. No problem. Hang them out to dry. Having said that, people deciding not to know, you take command of any size organisation in the military, it'll turn around on the strength of your character and your moral qualities, as well as the technical aspects. But as we know, character first, competence second. Character first. And what I heard Angus say today indicates that the upper echelons are protected, the diggers will be cashiered, and the contributing factor of multiple rotations without dwell time. Well, if Angus and Rick, whom I know personally, knew their job, it goes back to World War II even. How many missions, for example, did Bomber Command send their pilots and their crews on before they could retire, they could go back home? And it was unknown. And they didn't have an academic bloody study to do it. They went to war and they came up with a number of 30. If you survived 30 missions, then that was it, you'd served your time. But not these guys, they just kept rotating them through. And on top of that, once I said this before on Outsiders with Rowan Dean, if you do enough non-standard operations, and they know what I mean by that, it starts becoming standard in the mind of the diggers. So there is a direct legal complicity by the commanders who have built their careers and their promotions on the backs of acts that the soldiers did and they should have known about if they didn't. So there's a failure of leadership and a failure of moral courage. Let's just mention a couple of other things. So I made some quick notes.
Yeah, by the way, guys, that previous conversation on Sky News, I'm going to put that in the YouTube description at the top, so check it out.
Okay, we spoke about rotations and too many tours in quick succession. Oh, the poisonous culture between SASR and commandos. Well, happy coincidence, I was there when the second Commando Regiment was established, and it was, well, I certainly understood, and others did too, that these two units had to have an extremely close and amenable relationship with each other. But we knew that egos got in the way, and so it had to be managed well. Well, I put it squarely on the shoulders of the Commander Special Operations Command and the two regimental commanders for the poisonous relationship between the two, and the subsequent commanders as well, because they saw it happening back then. It was poisonous. It was competition. You know, SAS didn't like the commandos taking over the counter-terrorist role for the East Coast. Tactical Assault Group East. Nonsense stuff. It should have been seen. It was seen, and we actually instituted and drafted plans for personnel rotation to make sure that the two units worked closely together, and they understood that there was a process between the two of them. None of it was done, and that wasn't Trooper Smith's problem. That was Lieutenant Colonel X and Lieutenant Colonel Y, and in those days, Brigadier and later Major General X and Y. So none of these problems just don't, as I said on Dean's show, they don't happen in isolation. They were highlighted, no action was taken, and now the logical consequence of the failure of leadership going back at least 20 years has borne fruit. And what are they doing? They're cashiering the diggers, and the officers are being managed administratively. Give me a break.
How many questions did he get? And he just completely dodged it.
He just didn't want to answer the questions. Warrior culture. Let's talk about warrior culture. It was used by Justice Burton as the implication it was negative. Well, I dare to disagree with the good Justice Burton. A warrior is one who fights for a moral cause. They are built to do it. Just like lawyers are lawyers in their heart of hearts, soldiers are soldiers in their heart of hearts. And a warrior, not a mercenary, a warrior fights for a moral cause. Now, this is a slight. This is an attempt to undermine the very ethos of an army, because I can tell you this. You need a bit of ego to be the first one through the door. You have to believe that you're not going to be shot. It is like no profession on the planet. And these pumped up imposters that sit in judgment, you'll forgive me if I get a little bit warmed up.
But while we enjoy the safety of it, you know.
Let's not forget the government's role in all of this. Let's go back in time. Let's go the Wayback Machine. Let's go on the Wayback Machine. Ask any Prime Minister for I don't know, go back half a dozen PMs and ask them what the military strategic end state in Afghanistan was. Produce the paper that recorded our military strategic end state in Afghanistan. Just print it out. There's no problem with it. It's not secret. It's not top secret. It's not even confidential. What's our military strategic end state? And I'll tell you what, you won't find it. You know why? They never gave us one. And the imbeciles in command of the Defence Force never asked for one. The end state's quite simple. It's the metrics by which you know you have succeeded in your mission. But they didn't have one. Let's talk about rules of engagement. What were the rules of engagement? So restrictive that soldiers were afraid to shoot in case they were accused of war crimes, and if they didn't shoot, they risked being killed. Let's examine the governments. Let's go back to Malcolm Turnbull and his drip feeding of some of the allegations coming out to undermine the SAS specifically, the ADF generally, and get the Australian population on side to neutering our capability for self-defence.
Hang on, let me get this straight though.
Go on.
Afghanistan, you guys still don't know why you were over there. You don't know what the strategic objective was, the end state was, to this day.
Well, ask Koshi. He thought it was a women's rights issue. And yet, what have Australian soldiers fought and died for? To establish an Islamic republic where women are stoned to death for adultery if they are raped. And think about the reality of all of this. Should we be there? Absolutely we should have been there. Because in the first years, it was very clear it was to destroy terrorist bases. Nothing wrong with that. But this nonsense of making the Defence Force a nation-building tool is a joke. Yeah. Defence forces are there to deliver lethal force against an adversary who refuses to negotiate. So diplomacy goes to a point, and after that point you kill people. That's it. That's what it's for. And if people don't like that, tough.
Yeah.
The world is a mean and nasty place. It ain't nice. And now what we've got is a Chief of the Defence Force, in my opinion, that is quite rightly going to hold the diggers to account, and quite wrongly is going to give everybody else a pass. Because my question before I knew he was coming on here was how high will this go? How high will responsibility go? Are we going to apply the Yamashita principle that we spoke of previously?
Yeah. That's what I was
Are we going to go down to the commanders of the Special Operations Task Groups? I don't know. Maybe they're part of the same club. Maybe they're, I don't know. You tell me. Are we going down to the commanding officers of the Special Air Service Regiment, the 2nd Commander Regiment, squadron and company commanders, troop and platoon commanders? See, when everyone bears responsibility, nobody bears responsibility. And this nonsense of collective responsibility in the unit, which has prompted Angus to, he indicated he's going to ask the Governor-General to withdraw the unit meritorious citation for all for the unit between operations 2003 and whenever. Collective responsibility, really, Angus. Where's that in the Defence Force Discipline Act? Angus and Rick. And I know you're both nice guys. You can never quite see the big picture, but nice guys, good for following orders. Not too bright, just nod and they'll just tell them what to do, they'll do it. So where's collective responsibility, Rick? Where's collective responsibility, Angus, in the Defence Force Discipline Act? You can't pluck that one out. Now, there are soldiers that served honourably throughout, and you're penalising them as well.
Yeah.
See, this is, in my opinion, this is just a bit of theatre.
Yeah.
So the people and the media believe that firm action's been taken. They've had their medals taken away.
Yeah.
Really? Really, Angus? You poltroon. You moral coward. You haven't got the stones to do what you're paid to do, mate. And neither do your subordinates. And now you've got you, Rick Burr, and I don't know, Adam Findlay, the Commander Special Operations Commander, I don't know him personally. You're going to manage this process? You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You want to play this game, Angus? Either you're the commander and you do what's got to be done under your actual authority, but no, you want to spread responsibility around. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to go down that path, which I think is wrong, you do your job. As the Chief of the Defence Force, it's been investigated. These people are being charged. Get on with your job, Angus. Do your bloody job. Rick Burr, same thing. Do your bloody job. Now, you want to have a little committee now. Now, they're getting Adam Findlay to manage the process of providing advice on Special Operations Command. Adam Findlay is the Commander of Special Operations Command. That's his job. It's like having a mechanic who's paid to look after your car, and the car breaks down, and you say to the mechanic, you know what, I'm going to appoint you to fix my car. It's your job. You failed, all three of you, and your predecessors, and you haven't got the stones. Here's a prediction. Not one senior officer is going to be even questioned.
Take it to the bank, guys. Take it to the bank.
So that's just my initial take on it.
Yeah.
I'll have a look in further detail down the track. But
yeah. And we will obviously have more info on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just seen kabuki theatre. You really have.
If you guys are wondering why Riccardo's so worked up about it, and rightfully so, think about each profession that you guys are in. You know, I came from the building industry. If I saw something being built in a certain way, and the stakes are high in building, not compared to the military, but compared to most industries, it's pretty high in building. People can die. Poor practices have led to that in the past. You've got to be very strict. If I see something going wrong, and I know I'm going to be liable for it, and I know other people are going to be liable for it, you can tell I'm going to get worked up. That's Riccardo right now. Imagine you're a doctor. Imagine you've got your own profession where you know it, and you know that there are people trying to pull the wool over the eyes of other people. That's what's going on right now. And I'm just so grateful that we've got you, Riccardo, to sort of guide us through it, because this is an area you're way more familiar with. And I mean, what the hell do I know about it? I'm a civilian. I'm 23 years old. What would I know about this? For all I can hear, it sounds like he handled that quite well and exactly how I'd expect it. But evidently not, because we've been talking about this, and you said, Joel, how high will the responsibility go? I didn't realize how right I was I think a year ago when I said to you, this is a rebellion against the establishment. It is through and through. It is through and through. I mean, the elites of these organizations, what we're seeing in the military right now, the diggers are going to be completely thrown under the bus. Good people that have served the country, lumped in with some of these despots that did some blooding and this and that. For those of you who don't know what blooding is, how would you describe it? I don't quite have the words to describe.
It's not uncommon in third world shitholes In fact, I told you last week when I was in PNG, I was trying to straighten up a company of PNG soldiers, where the officer commanding had every one of his new soldiers shoot an unarmed person, so there was a blood tie between all of them, so nobody could come back and rat on what was going to happen after that. That's not a warrior ethos.
Yeah.
That's a murderer. That's a scumbag. That's a mercenary. That's a, fill in the blank. It's got nothing to do with being a warrior. It's got nothing to do with being an Australian soldier.
Yeah, interesting. So, guys, sorry for the slight change of program, but you can understand why we're a little bit worked up after just watching the. He didn't even answer any questions, guys. Honestly, and this is what kills me, because you get the media there, ABC reporting, Channel 7 reporting, and they don't even push back. Like, if I was there with Monica Smith and I asked a question, I have no doubt that if my question wasn't answered, Monica Smith would back me up and say, hang on, can you clarify that point? How high is this going up? How high is the responsibility going up?
Can I give you an example how that press conference should have run? My name is X. I'm the Chief of the Defence Force. I'm responsible for the Defence Force. We've got this report. Serious allegations have been made. I am now going to commence the charging of individuals that are implicated in this result, and regardless of rank, they will be held to account. You will be kept informed. If somebody did something wrong, they will be charged. If somebody failed in their duty and something was wrong under their command, under the Defence Force discipline, they will be charged. And I don't care how high it goes, ladies and gentlemen. I'll keep you informed. There you go. Next question. That's what should have been said. Not this bureaucratic political doublespeak and kabuki theatre and removal of medals and definitions of warrior ethos. Angus, you're a massive disappointment, mate. And Rick, you know better.
Let's move on, guys. There's a lot to cover today, and I fear it might be our longest segment.